JD Vance, Donald Trump, the special treatment that MAGA is giving to people in its own administration is truly insane. I've been tracking this story for a while, and seemingly no one in the mainstream media has been talking about it, but this is a huge story because JD Vance, very likely with the help of Donald Trump himself, has seemingly pressured a children's hospital into carving out a special exemption for one of his distant family members through marriage and adoption. Here's the story. A distant relative of JD Vance, a seemingly very fundamentalist Christian who has already adopted 7 children, decides to adopt an 8th child from China. This girl has a known heart condition that will one day require a transplant. Everyone knows this. This is perfectly clear in the adoption process. Anyone who knows anything about organ transplants in the United States, including these adopters, knows that hospitals have policies about transplants. Whether people like these policies or not, it is standard practice for hospitals in America to require transplant recipients to be up to date on vaccinations. There are obvious medical reasons why these hospitals have policies on vaccination, but it's no use getting into the specifics given that you either agree with the hospital or you don't agree with the hospital. And in the case of this girl, who by the way received her childhood immunizations in China and even received vaccinations during the adoption process, her adopters refused to vaccinate her to get her on the transplant list. They wouldn't give her the COVID shot or the flu shot. And what a shame that is, because who even knows whether this girl had a say in denying the vaccinations that would allow her to get on that list. The hospital stood by its policy and said just get the flu and COVID shots and we'll put her on our transplant list, but these adopters would not comply. Replacing your heart with an entirely new organ, that's fine, but vaccinating a child? No, that's a bridge too far. The adopters, who have repeatedly said they would do anything for this child, did something. Well, they didn't vaccinate her. Instead, they went to the media. The adoptive mother went to the press and said that she wasn't asking for special treatment, but instead advocating for equal access to transplants regardless of vaccination status. She said, "I pray that President Trump and all of the states will stand up for everyone facing vaccination status discrimination due to their conscientious and religious beliefs." The story gained some traction, and soon enough, JD Vance himself said that he was personally going to intervene. I think it's important to reiterate, this family has always known this girl would need a transplant and thus has always known this girl would need vaccines, but refused to give her any further vaccines because the Holy Spirit told them not to. Nevertheless, the family has managed to turn this attention into a GoFundMe campaign that has made them tens of thousands of dollars, and even the other day, President Trump sent a letter to this little girl himself. The hospital has not changed its policies on transplants, but now all of a sudden, this girl is on the transplant list. And if you ask Janine Deal herself, the distant relative of JD Vance, it was the pressure that MAGA put on this hospital that allowed JD Vance's distant relative to get special treatment. In recent years, we've seen China and many other countries around the world stop sending their children to be adopted in the United States. And it really shouldn't come as a surprise when you see stories like this one.